In a narration of Aisha reported by Bukhari wa Muslim that the Prophet ﷺ recited a verse from Surah Al-Imran. And this is the part that we want to speak about and pay very close attention to. The Prophet ﷺ recited the verse in Surah Al-Imran, هو الذي أنزل عليك الكتاب منه آيات محكمات هن أم الكتاب وأخر متشابهات فأما الذين في قلوبهم زيغ فيتبعون ما تشابه منه ابتغاء الفتنة وابتغاء تأويله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, He, Allah, is the one who has sent down to you the book. In it are very clear and precise verses. They are the source and the foundation of the book. And other aspects of the book are unclear. They are not precise. طيب? So we have precise and very clear verses of the Quran and the Sunnah, and we have and other parts of it that are not so clear, meaning you cannot understand them on their own. You have to refer them back to the precise verses of the Quran. He said, so the ones who have a perversion in their heart, they have deviation from the truth in their heart, they follow the unclear verses. They follow the what? The unclear verses. Naam. They do this why? They are seeking al-fitna. Al-fitna could either mean polytheism or it could mean trials and discord. And they are seeking their true meanings. And the only one who knows their true meanings is Allah and the people of knowledge. Al-rasikhuna fil ilm, the people who are well founded in knowledge. So the Prophet ﷺ then commented on this verse and said, so if you see the ones who follow the unclear aspects and verses, then they are the ones who Allah mentioned, so beware of them. Naam. This hadith is collected also by al-Bukhari wa Muslim. Naam. Naam. So we see that the people of deviation, they follow the Quran, like we mentioned at the beginning of the lecture. The people of innovation and the people who have perversion in their heart and the people who have deviated from the truth and so on and so forth, these people follow the Quran and the Sunnah. But they follow what aspects of the Quran and the Sunnah? The unclear, the mutashabih of the Quran and the Sunnah. And they leave off the clear. Naam. An example of this, could give many examples. I will give one example from the person we are speaking about. He was on a news program and he was on an interview in Arabic, which we're going to dissect and speak about more, inshaAllah, later. But as an example, he was asked about the Fort Hood killings, and he was asked about Umar Farouk, which is more commonly known as the underwear bomber. And he said, I am very proud that these are two of my students, and I encourage everybody else and the rest of the Muslimin to follow their way, and so on and so forth. Now, this man, Umar Farouk, the underwear bomber, why? Because he allegedly had a bomb in his underwear and he was going to blow it up in the plane. طيب? He said, Naam, that is one of my students and I am very honored that is kind of person, this hero is one of my students, and so on and so forth. So they said, Yani, what is your comment regarding the killing of civilians? Civilians, like the people that are on this plane, they're not out in battle themselves. Naam. So he replied with 3 evidences. He said the first one is that the American people, they are the ones who vote in their leaders. Listen very closely. The American people, they are the ones who what? Vote in their leaders. And in the previous elections, they had a decision and they had a choice to choose other leaders. Naam? Who did not and were not in favor of the wars that America is unfortunately involved in across the globe. But they still chose these leaders. That means what? That means what, ya akhwa? What's he trying to say? They want this. They are telling him, yes, you are leader and go kill these people. صح? طيب. First of all, Mr. Conspiracy Theory, I do not believe that he believes that the American public really votes in their leaders. Second of all, in 2000, Al Gore actually won the election. Al Gore was running against Bush in the first election. He was the one that won the election. The people voted for Al Gore, who is anti-war, Mr. Democratic and save the trees and the air and مش عارف ايش. طيب. What happened? They have something called a judicial vote in America. And that is that even if the public votes for somebody, the Supreme Court says, no, we don't like who you voted for, we're putting this guy in. And that is what happened. That is how Mr. George Bush got into office the first term. The people voted for Bush or no? No. Second of all, even if they voted for him, let's say they voted for him. The way democracy allegedly works is if you have 100% of the population, 49% say no, and 51% say yes, who do we go with? 51%. That means that the American public wanted this to happen? La. It means that a group from the American public wanted this to happen. It doesn't mean all of them. Naam? That's his first thing. The second thing, he said, and we have a narration where the Prophet ﷺ was asked about the night raids. You know about the night raids? Huh? Huh? نعم. يعني من حديث ابن عباس عن الصعب بن جثامة, reported by al-Bukhari wa Muslim, reported by the 6 books except for An-Nasa'i, reported by Ibn Hibban, reported by نعم Ibn Hibban والحميدي والحاكم في المستدرك في معرفة الصحابة and others. And the narration is authentic narration without doubt. That he was asked about the night raids. They go out at night in some battles, and they would be close to a village at night that they're going to attack. And instead of attacking in the daytime, they what? Attack at night. And you know, at that time you don't have street lights and these things. So when you go in there, you're seeing figures and you're hitting figures, and these figures could be men, it could be women, it could be anything. So when the night time is gone and it's now daytime, you see that there are women who are killed and so on and so forth. Now, the Prophet ﷺ was asked about this. What did he say? He said, Hum minhum. They are from them. These women and children, they're from them. طيب? So he said that's an evidence to what? That's his evidence to target and attack only women and children. That is his evidence. And civilians. That's his evidence. Naam. I'm not twisting words. This is what he said. طيب? Now, the problem with this is he has followed something mutashabih and he left off the muhkam. And it is illegal in Islam to use this kind of evidence. How is that? That is the mutashabih. We are not going to sit here and say, no, it's a weak narration. La, it's authentic narration. Naam. And Naam. In al-Sahih, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, going back to what he first said, they are involved in the war because they chose these leaders and these leaders go and do this war. Correct? طيب. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he went for battle, he saw a woman who was killed. She was dead. Somebody killed her. What did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? ما كانت هذه لتقاتل. He saw this woman and he said, this woman was not fighting against us. Now, this woman, do you really think that she saw her people getting ready to fight against the Prophet ﷺ and said, everybody don't do this, this is haram? Or was she, these wives of all these kuffar fighting against the Prophet ﷺ, were they against the war or they were for the war and telling their husbands, go fight against this prophet, this so-called prophet? Sahulala. Which one do you think it is? Of course supporting them. But the Prophet ﷺ dispraised this act and said she was not fighting. She didn't have a weapon and fighting. Naam? That is muhkam or mutashabih? Muhkam. And second of all, this narration, hum minhum, they are from them. Az-Zuhri, do you know who Az-Zuhri is? Ibn Shihab Az-Zuhri is one of the tabi'een. Az-Zuhri هذا is a narrator of hadith and a scholar of fiqh, يعني كالشمس وضحاها. طيب? يعني Az-Zuhri is Az-Zuhri. That's all I need to say about Az-Zuhri. Rahimahullah. Az-Zuhri commented on this narration and he said, whenever he would narrate this narration, as is in Sunan Abi Dawood, he would say, then this was later abrogated in the Battle of Hunayn. The Prophet ﷺ abrogated this ruling of they are from them in the Battle of Hunayn. He is mentioning a narration in Sahih where the Prophet ﷺ sent a man to Khalid ibn al-Walid when he was on his way to Hunayn to tell Khalid ibn al-Walid, do not kill a woman, do not kill a child. Naam? Do not kill a woman and do not kill a child. Which one is muhkam and which one is mutashabih? Yani what is more clear? They are from them or do not kill a woman and do not kill a child? The second one. Naam. That's clear. طيب? So far he's using the sunnah, authentic sunnah. Naam? We're not saying no. طيب? Az-Zuhri is the narrator of the hadith. We have a fundamental in the science of hadith and the science of fiqh where they say the narrator of the hadith knows more about the hadith than anyone else. Al-Rawi a'lamu bil-hadith. The one who narrates the hadith, he knows more about it than anyone else. Because the asl, the companions and the tabi'een, is that they take the narration and they take the meaning of the narration with it. That is the asl. Unless we have something indicating otherwise, then we say what? Then we say this is contrary to the asl. So Az-Zuhri says it's abrogated. Naam. Az-Zuhri says it's abrogated. And for this reason, Imam Malik and al-Awza'i Abu AbdurRahmaan al-Awza'i, rahimahullah, he and Malik said it is not permissible to kill a woman or a child no matter what in battle. That's what they said. They said even if the women and children, the people in the battle fighting, na'am, the people fighting against the Muslimin, they run away and they take their women and children and put them around them. And they sit in the middle to get away from the Muslimin. Imam Malik and al-Awza'i said it is not permissible to kill any one of them. Not only that, but he said, even if there is a boat which is full of women and children and the enemy, it is not permissible to sink that boat. This is in Fath al-Bari. You can find it under the explanation of hum minhum. طيب. Wallahu a'lam, it is very possible that the narration is not abrogated. The ruling is still there. It is still intact. Hum minhum. طيب. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is speaking about what? Attacking a military who have civilians amongst them, or attacking civilians only? Which one is he speaking about? The first one. Na'am. Na'am. Thirdly, even if we said he's talking about attacking civilians, who is the one that used to send them? Who sent them? The Prophet ﷺ, the leader, the general. Where is he today? Do you see him? We don't see him. And they continue to hold on tight that you don't need to have a general to fight jihad. Where is this? Anywhere in the Quran and Sunnah. طيب. This third narration he used is, he said, وَنَسْتَأْنِسُ بِمَا وَجَدْنَاهُ فِي كُتُبِ السِّيَرِ. Now I want you to pay very close attention to that wording that he is using. طيب? This is very important. He is now stating that you can kill people. This is a مسألة يعني having to do with wudu and مضمضة والاستنشاق, or this is something, a serious matter here. A very serious matter. He says, and we also seek comfort يعني, and we seek يعني some solace in what we found in the books of Seerah. طيب? That the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam in a Ta'if used the catapult. You hear that? The Prophet ﷺ in a Ta'if used the catapult. Where is this hadith, ya Fadilat al-Shaykh? He said in the books of Sirah, the books of Sirah. The way that you deviate and the way that you take yourself astray and the rest of the ignorant folks with you is by building rulings on what you find in history books of Islam. If you want to screw up, follow what you find in history books. Because history books gather everything. Authentic, inauthentic, mawdu', stuff from Bani Israel, all kinds of things. So instead of opening the books of fiqh and the books of hadith, where do you go? The books of history, and build rulings. This is correct or not? La. Anybody who knows anything about fiqh would not do this. But la ba's, we found the narration. The narration is reported by Abu Dawud al-Sijistani in a book called al-Mursalat. In a book called al-Marasil. Abu Dawud al-Sijistani, the same author of a Sunan, he has a book called al-Marasil. Al-Marasil means all of the book is inauthentic. Because all of the chains of narration in this book have a break in them somewhere. This narration is reported by Abu Dawud al-Sijistani fil Marasil. And this narration is reported by Abu Dawud al-Sijistani fil Marasil and was mentioned by Al-Hafiz Ibn Hajar in Bulugh al-Maram. The narration is reported by Thawr, who reports it on the authority of Makhul, who said the Prophet ﷺ did. طيب? Pay attention with me. Thawr, reports that Makhul said that the Prophet ﷺ used a catapult. صح؟ طيب. Who is Makhul? A companion? Makhul is a tabi'i. Makhul is a tabi'i, like a Zuhri. He's not even a major tabi'i, he's a small tabi'i. A small tabi'i means 90% of his teachers are tabi'een, and 5 or 10% are companions. So when Makhul says, the Prophet ﷺ said, the Prophet ﷺ did, the Prophet ﷺ anything, it is a 90 or 95% chance that he got this from who? The tabi'een. And a 5 or 10% chance that he got it from who? A companion. So which one now, if we only have this hadith in front of us, authentic or inauthentic? Right away we say inauthentic. Because the chain of narration is made out of gold. The whole chain of narration is the narrators from both Bukhari and Muslim, and one of them is from Muslim alone. Very good. But the problem is, Ya Fadilat al-Shaykh, Makhul never met the Prophet ﷺ a day in his life. As a matter of fact, he met the small companions, the companions who lived way after, like Wathil ibn al-Asqa and Anas ibn Malik and these people. Naam? طيب? The narration is also reported by al-Uqayli. And it has a complete chain of narration leading up to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu. What's the problem with this narration? In it is a man called Abdullah ibn Khirash. Imam al-Bukhari said in the Tarikh, he said, Munkar al-Hadith. This hadith is unacceptable. Munkar al-Hadith, yani we can't even use it for anything. Naam? Munkar al-Hadith. So now we have a chain going to Ali ibn Abi Talib. We're sure that this is what? Weak. As a matter of fact, some have called it mawdu', fabricated. Then we have one leading up to Makhul, but Makhul never met the Prophet ﷺ. Then we have one reported by At-Tirmidhi in his Sunan. طيب? As mentioned by Shaykh al-Bassam in Tawdi' al-Ahkam, in As-Sunan, on the authority of Thawr. Now we're missing Makhul. Now we got even further from the Prophet ﷺ. Naam? Now we're missing Makhul. So now it's even more inauthentic. Naam? Then we have another narration in Sunan Abi Dawood with an authentic chain of narration, as mentioned by Shaykh al-Bassam, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi al-Awza'i, Abu AbdurRahmaan Ali rahimahullah, asked Yahya ibn Abi Kathir. Yahya ibn Abi Kathir is a tabi'i, طيب, from the 5th tabaqa of the tabi'een. He asked him, he said, did you hear that the Prophet ﷺ used a catapult in this battle that we spoke about? Thaqif. Yahya ibn Abi Kathir said, I have not heard this and this wasn't heard. He said, no, and this wasn't heard of. So the narration is authentic or inauthentic? Huh? What do you think? What is your analysis? This narration is definitely inauthentic. And if you read Bulugh al-Maram, Ibn Hajar inauthenticates it himself in Bulugh al-Maram. Naam? That we're going to read here, that he studied and has an ijaza in Bulugh al-Maram. Naam? Min adillat al-ahkam. So now we are building a ruling on a mutashabih and a weak narration. La bas, I'll say the companions use catapults. Khalas? Companions used the catapult. Did the Prophet ﷺ use one? We don't have any evidence that that is the case. But the companions used it. But they used it when? Explain to me how, what is the difference between putting a bomb in your shoe or your underwear and getting on a jetliner and blowing everybody up in the air and a catapult? Could you explain the difference to me? Who could tell me the difference? Subhanallah. No. Yani, in the catapult, when it hits, you're not seeing who's behind the walls. Could be women, children, whatever. This is war. But we're speaking about this is what? Naam, aside from the suicide bombing, khalas. Even though the suicide bombing, wallahu a'lam, the correct opinion is not permissible. Naam. But of course they will say, لا يا أخي شو أنت say صحيح صححه الألباني وضعفه الألباني. الألباني says permissible. طيب. Take the rest of what al-Albani says. I wish you would take the rest of what al-Albani says. That's like the Yemenis. We have some Yemeni brothers, barakallahu fihum. They have something called qat. Qat is like a tree a plant that they chew, and it makes them high. Okay? So they say this qat is permissible. Why is it permissible? Look in al-Shawkani says it's permissible. Al-Shawkani. Huh? طيب. Take the rest of what al-Shawkani says. Yani like growing your beard, like yani making salah, these kinds of things. And then start saying al-Shawkani said. You don't choose one thing that suits your mood from al-Shawkani and leave off the rest of what al-Shawkani said. You don't take one thing as Shaykh al-Albani said and throw all the rest away. And they're the same ones who accuse Shaykh al-Albani that he is a coward and he doesn't know anything about jihad and never goes for jihad and مش عارف ايش. صح ولا لا؟ نعم. The same thing the ones who go after Ibn Hazm. I guarantee you they don't even know who Ibn Hazm is. But they say Ibn Hazm said music is halal. طيب يا عمي, Ibn Hazm, one individual out of the whole ummah. Take Ibn Hazm. Ibn Hazm said music is halal. Do you know where Ibn Hazm was from? Just tell me the country he's from. Let alone Ibn Hazm said, and Shaykh al-Albani said, and مش عارف إيش. Naam. Second of all, most of the people saying this kind of stuff, they are not allowed in Islam to be searching through the fatwa of the scholars and finding which one is correct and which one is wrong. Naam. And the majority of the scholars say what? Of our time? Not permissible. Shaykh al-Albani. So, we see a very good example here. A very good example. Shaykh al-Albani is the same one who says, you don't go for jihad al-talab without a general, without a leader. And they choose to take something from Shaykh al-Albani and leave off the rest of what Shaykh al-Albani says, and take something from Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen and leave off what the rest of Ibn Uthaymeen says, and the Shaykh ibn Baz, Allah al-Musta'an, they reached a whole other level with Shaykh ibn Baz, rahimahullah, na'am, and so forth. Na'am, Shaykh Muqbil is getting paid by the government too? Huh? You believe a Shaykh Muqbil was getting paid by the government too? They didn't even have food to eat in Dammaj? طيب, a Shaykh Muqbil condemned Osama bin Laden. And he used to know him personally. Would we take that? La. And I heard this dude on a video saying, I called Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen and I asked him, Ya Shaykh, why are you guys convincing people that it's not permissible to go for jihad? And Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen said to him, Ya Osama, this is not our decision. This comes from above and we give it to the people. ايش يعني this comes from above? The leaders that pay us, نعم, they told us, say that jihad is haram and we just said it. That's who Ibn Uthaymeen is. And here, the first sheikh he has on his paper, studying under shuyukh in their general circles. I have attended the circles of the scholars of Mecca and Medina for a combined period of a few months. And everybody who went to Hajj and Umrah did this. Naam, for a few months, and for a short while attended the circle of Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen. Naam. We now know what is al-muhkam wal-mutashabih. We know the style this kind of people follow. This is the way they roll. طيب?